Despite buying Activision Blizzard for $69 billion just last year, Microsoft definitely want to be in the market for more video game acquisitions.
Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
Big Spencer. Ugh. Microsoft is still in the market for acquisitions despite having uh, ciphered out $69 billion or $75 billion for Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard last year. In an interview with Bloomberg, Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer said he's up for buying more companies, although cautioned that nothing's imminent and big deals are off the table for now. So if Microsoft opens the wallet once again, what might it spend its billions on? Deals that add geographic diversity, including in Asia, might be worthwhile, Spencer said. Apparently, Microsoft's eyeing up buying another mobile company. Microsoft picked up Candy Crush maker King as part of the Activision Blizzard acquisition. We definitely want to be in the market, and when we can find teams and technology and capability that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft, absolutely we will keep our heads up, Spencer said. Microsoft is still busy absorbing Activision Blizzard employees, Spencer added, which is why very large deals are probably impossible right now. But that leaves the door open for major acquisitions in the future. Just one moment. Okay, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer and company will probably find future acquisitions easier to get over the line after Donald Trump becomes U.S. president in January. Microsoft faced a tough battle with the Federal Trade Commission over the Activision Blizzard deal, a battle it ultimately won. Wall Street is said to be foaming at the mouth with all the possible mergers and acquisitions that may now go through with Trump as president. The focus, it seems, is fleshing out its mobile offering ahead of launching an app store of its own. But Microsoft's App Store and Google Play rival has suffered a number of delays, with staff still trying to figure out a plan. According to Bloomberg, Microsoft still doesn't have an effective way to get its own store on mobile phones, delaying the launch further. Microsoft's gaming ambitions continue despite cutting an eye-watering 2,550 staff just this year alone, with Xbox mobile game development teams recently hit hard. So let's go to the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Chloe Low 116 goes, while we should all expect him to say that, it's also what has been the problem in the Xbox division for several years. Rather than settling down and focusing on giving games solid and amazing games, their focus remains on quantity. That's just not a great look. Mikey have 815 goes, yep, they're still chasing this eventual constant stream of high quality content that never seems to come. As more studios come under the umbrella, it feels like all that changes is the games feel more rushed and disposable as Game Pass fodder. Shiny new releases to get people to sub with no real substance behind them. And Metal Gear Sony goes, this tape doesn't make any sense to me. They're wanting joke for a decade has been Xbox has no games, but all of a sudden they're focused on quantity over quality. I get your hate, Xbox to death, but at least pick a lane.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of Phil Spencer basically playing Mr. Moneybags, wanting to buy more companies?
Yeah, we talked about Phil Spencer about at least how many podcasts ago, not too far ago. So you hate Phil Spencer to a great extent. I kind of respect the guy. I don't love the guy, obviously, but I respect him, being where he is, being head of Xbox and all for the last 10 years now, if not more so. More power to him, because obviously, I wish I had a kind of demeanor or position, because obviously when you're at the top, whether even it is the top of Xbox brand, you basically call the shots, and you are not entirely calling the shots, but you have oversight of calling the shots to some degree along with Microsoft. So it's he has power of what to do or not to do with the brand. But at this rate, he's being too how's that called that term? Too smug with himself, in my opinion. It's like you bite off more than you can chew. And they still haven't made any new games as far as for this year since what's it called? Redfall and not Redfall. That's not last year, right? Redfall was last year, 2023, right?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Damn, as time flies. And then the most recent was Starfield, the DLC package, or whatever it is, back in September. So that's it for this year as far as like the original exclusive to Xbox type of games for the Xbox brand. And at this rate, though, guys like who exposes this fanboy wars shit going on. Excuse me, but it's oh no, it's Alex. I've been listening to the guy, not listening, but I've been watching this guy for at least a good couple months now, and he's telling the truth. Though the Microsoft is biting off more than they can chew. All they try to do is try to make money in a short term, but not thinking about the long term. And they just spent $70 billion on Activision Blizzard alone, and you still want to buy more shit? I mean, come on, man. No offense to Phil Spencer or to Xbox or Microsoft, whatever it was, or directly in charge of these acquisitions. You guys are not. You're not doing much in the long term. You're gonna kill your company, or at least the Xbox brand. At least you gotta sell that company most likely sooner or later because of the failures of games that are not going so well. And it's not gonna go so well for Microsoft as a whole. And the Xbox may have to be diversified, but at the same time, we should have listened to Dreamcast guy. No offense to him, at first, but he's telling some truth too, to some extent that Xbox may be dead as an actual console, but the Xbox services they're trying to spread out. So
hold that thought. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but hold that thought about consoles. We got one more story after this.
Oh sure, okay.
But go on.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right, so yeah, it's eventually, Microsoft going to have to, improvise, and that's what they've been doing for a few months now. They're trying to do Xbox everywhere on every form of media or device, and it's okay at first, but then us gamers, or you want to call us hardcore gamers, or the niche gamers, the ones that buy the consoles, buy the actual brand for the sake of the console for the games. When we were kids, that was a big thing back 20 years ago to buy the exclusives on that Xbox brand. But like Alex says, that's not the case anymore. It's everywhere. Everyone's everywhere on every platform to some degree with different devices or services of those devices. So it's only a matter of time where Microsoft got to, back off the buy-in and just stick with what they have, and then create new good IPs, new good stories, games, projects, you name it, whatever comes first. It's then they can do what they want to do for the next God knows how many decades or years at least.
Yeah. Basically, you pretty much said what I was gonna say. I don't hate Phil Spencer. I hate the decisions he's making. I think he's lost the plot, but that doesn't mean I hate him.
Right.
But yeah, again, this story shows exactly what's wrong with Xbox at this point. You got so many games in the Activision Blizzard merger. I'm actually gonna just start of this because I don't want to use the same two examples over and over.
Understood.
So I want to just bring up franchises acquired in Microsoft Blizzard.
And they also bought Candy Crush too, as well.
Yep. Blizzard merger.
That's no. It may be like a small game to the average gamer, but the overall market, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So I do have I'm just going to go over the franchises: Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, StarCraft, Diablo, Spyro the Dragon, Candy Crush Saga, Hearthstone, Guitar Hero, Lost Vikings, Rebel Riders, Diamond Diary Saga, and Bubble Witch 3 Saga. All these, among its assets, are ownership of Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Overwatch, and Candy Crush. And what has Phil Spencer done with it? He's bought one game from Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 at the time, Modern Warfare 3 reboot to Game Pass. I'm assuming Black Ops 6 is on Game Pass.
Yes, it is.
And Spyro the Reignited Trilogy is coming to Game Pass, or it's on Game Pass by the time we record this. And keep in mind, that's not the full list of IPs they own. That's just, a big chunk of them. Because I do believe, because they didn't say True Crime or Tony Hawk, but I remember that being on the list also.
Okay.
And the thing is, what you should be doing is you should be going to take all the console games, all the console franchises, make sequels, make a reboot, put the older games on Game Pass. When it comes to the mobile games, don't buy any more mobile games control mobile games until you have your mobile market set up and you can put the mobile games out there. Why is this such a hard strategy for Phil Spencer to figure out? Now you want to buy more games, franchises, and lay more people off of Microsoft?
Oh, we can't afford to, but we bought $7 billion company. That's nice.
Yes. So I mean, like I said, Phil Spencer, he's completely lost the plot. If he had studios working on either sequels or reboots of these franchises, or at least some of them, and if the old games were being added to Game Pass, and if the Microsoft mobile market was doing good, then okay, then I would say look for more companies to buy or more gaming studios to buy. But you're not doing that. So why? So it's just a waste of money, and just developers or other office staff are going to have to pay the price when they lose their job to cover the cost, because Phil Spencer apparently doesn't know how to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Yeah, we move on.
All right. Well, don't worry, we're going to bash Phil Spencer again.
Oh yeah, most likely.
In 3, 2, 1. Xbox promises more gaming consoles in the future and throws shade at PS5 Pro. Microsoft doesn't think an Xbox Series X Pro could justify its price tag. Okay, this sounds like you say yes on one hand and no on the other. Microsoft's latest holiday marketing campaign is all about how you can play Xbox games even without the actual console. This is an Xbox, the slogan reads, as it lists laptops, smartphones, VR headsets, and other platforms agnostic devices. But despite doubling down the virtues of Play Anywhere, the company is still committed to shipping new Xboxes in the future, even if it decided to skip the pricey PS5 Pro style mid-generation refresh. We'll definitely do more consoles in the future and other devices, Microsoft's gaming CEO Phil Spencer told Rolling Stone in a new interview. While not shocking, the reassurance comes after this fall's big holiday Xbox console exclusive, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, announced a PS5 port coming just a few months later in the spring. The multi-platform push has had some fans doubting the platform's future, especially when Spencer says things like there's no red line when it comes to bringing first-party games to rival consoles, including the next Halo. Xbox President Sarah Bond previously teased that Microsoft's next Xbox would be the largest technical leap players have ever seen in a console generation. And this week, Spencer confirmed that the company is working on a dedicated PC gaming handheld, though it's still a few years off. Previous leaks pegged a new Xbox console coming in late 2026, and while plans can always change, it certainly sounds like Microsoft remains all in on hardware for the next 5-10 years, even if the success of those devices aren't ultimately propelled first and foremost by exclusive franchises like The Elder Scrolls and Gears of War. And what of Microsoft skipping the mid-cycle refresh? Unlike last time when the Xbox Series X and the PS4 Pro went head-to-head, Sony's spiffed-up $700 gaming rig has launched uncontested this year. Spencer's answer is that the improvements just don't warrant an incremental update this time around. We think about hardware that can create unique value for our player or creators on our platform, he told Rolling Stone. We don't need to do incremental hardware for our own benefit. He continued, does a new device really give you a unique experience on screen in some way? It's less like the old days, going from the original Xbox to 360. That was standard definition to high definition. Now it's harder to show the benefits. That echoed a comment he made to Bloomberg this week as well about reaching new audiences. We're not going to grow the market with 81,000 consoles, Spencer said. Those implied shots at the PS5 Pro come after months of debate about whether Sony's second most expensive console, ever seems worth it for slightly better resolutions at higher frame rates. While experts and die-hard enthusiasts are singing the praises of the device for improving games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, others have noted that even being a little too far away from the screen or dealing with daytime glare from Windows all but cancels out that upgrade. Of course, if Sony is struggling to showcase meaningful improvements with new hardware that's $300 more than the all digital PS5 was at launch, how exactly are we going to get the largest technical leap you've ever seen out of the next Xbox at an affordable price? Maybe machine learning, generative AI, and cloud computing, which Microsoft is currently all in on, will provide a unique solution to that dilemma. Okay, so, um, yeah, what do you think about Phil Spencer saying they're all in on consoles still, but then throwing shade at the PS5 Pro?
Mm. Well, I mean, everyone's trying to make some money off of selling consoles these days because it's the holidays right now. So both Xbox as well as Sony, PlayStation, all and you know, I don't hear much from Nintendo Switch as much. I mean, yes, the Switch has a market for themselves. They're their own class of itself, so they're doing good. But all by themselves, that is Nintendo, and yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I'm okay with them selling the consoles and all, but they're not selling at a cheaper price, especially the older models of Xbox Series X and S, as well as the original PS5, respectively, of these companies. You know, they're not doing the same thing they did back 10 years ago, 15 years ago with Xbox 360 and going into Xbox One and PS4 going to PS3 going to PS4. It's not the same market like it used to be. I don't know what they're doing, but they'd be acting stupid, in my opinion, between these companies altogether. And like I said about Phil Spencer, he being smug and all, and the president, our current president of Sony, I don't know what he's doing, but these guys are not really, they're not thinking well, in my opinion. It sounds like because of all people, Dr. Games, how dare you? You're just a nobody on Xbox Live. You're just a nobody on the YouTube community. Who are you to tell me that? Like, I attended some business classes, my friends. I attended business mathematics classes and marketing classes. Like, this is not some easy, hard thing to do. It's about appealing to your customers, to your gamers. And if you're not going to do that well, then you're going to lose out, and you're going to, be out of business. So I don't know what to tell these guys or these gamers. You want to call them that, depends on who you talk to among the gaming community, So
Yeah, so what Phil Spencer is doing is, he has no idea what he's doing, because I the only thing I agree with him on is jumping from console to console is not going to help as the upgrades gets harder and harder to recognize. I agree with him on that. I already said the PS5 Pro is a waste of money, and you're just egging on bad behavior if you buy the PS5 Pro when you could just buy a PS5 for cheaper. Especially when the PS5 has so few exclusive games anyway. But, at the same time, he says he's still in the console market, and he's still going to release more consoles. Phil, you told everyone that you lost the console war. You waved the white flag in the console war.
And it's on record, too.
Why would anyone You know how many people you burned off from the fan base when you did that? Do you have any idea how many people? Let's go over the story of Sega. After the Sega Genesis, they said Sega CD was going to be the hot new thing. We're going to have games on CD now. And it didn't work. They said the 32X was going to be the future. That didn't work. They said Sega Saturn was going to be the next evolution in games, and that didn't work. Then when the Dreamcast came out, which could have been the next evolution, people were like, yeah, Sega, you already got my money.
The boy card
and
wolf.
if Microsoft isn't careful, Microsoft could be next in that gaming console market. And I don't want to see it just be between Sony and Nintendo.
Indeed.
But when you send new games out in their first year to PlayStation, as well as saying so people can play anywhere. Did you forget what made Sea of Thieves a good idea to send to PS5? People said you're not going to get any more sales from Xbox customers. The only way Sea of Thieves is going to generate more sales is if you get it on PS5, Nintendo Switch, or PC if it wasn't on PC already. So that's why Sea of Thieves, because Sea of Thieves was also an older game. So, but sending Indiana Jones and the Great Circle at 4 months after it comes out on Xbox to PlayStation, that's awful.
Yeah, it used to be 1 year for time exclusives.
At least 1 year, yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have done it until I saw sales declining. And I'm like, well, if sales are declining or sales are dead on Microsoft only, then we'll go to Sony and see if they want it. And if they don't, then that's their problem. But also, Phil Spencer's judgment on game franchises hasn't been that great. This is the guy that passed up on Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, which is on PS4, and Spider-Man 2 on PS5. He passed on Grand Theft Auto. He didn't see any value in Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City. This is the guy that passed up on Guitar Hero. This is the guy that passed up on Destiny. All these games is Phil Spencer admitted to passing up on. Not so much Grand Theft Auto and what was it? Not Grand Theft Auto and Spider-Man, but those were rumors that he had first crack at those also. So yeah, I mean, Phil, it's not just make a gaming box and put it in stores with a nice price tag. It's, hardware, good hardware, or even great hardware means nothing if there's no software to run.
Oh yeah.
You would think with Microsoft being a computer company, they would know that.
I think that there's too many old people call them old heads where I come from, where it's like there's too many people who are older than a certain age that they're starting to lose sight and muster and vitality within themselves to make viable services and products too. So it's at that point now in history, not just gaming, also just in the economy as a whole, where all the people who are in charge are like baby boomers and older. They don't have a good insight or originality to what they're making or doing within this economy. Especially comes down to certain leaders in our countries as well too are doing the same thing too. That's screwing up the progress of this country as well too. So it's a matter of time where it's like things gonna crash or to just level itself out or recorrect itself. It's natural selection at this rate. The old, and no offense, the old and the stupid, to some of them that is, will have to be outpriced or taken out of these companies sooner or later through voting of the board or whatever comes first, or irrelevancy. They're irrelevant, some of these major players of the game industry now. And hopefully, in the next 5 or 10 years, hopefully at most 10 years, we'll see a good correction of the game industry as a whole. And then guys like Phil Spencer may have something going on, and by then. If not, then it'll be new people, new workers, new leaders. So let's hope for the best.
Yeah. So I mean, Phil Spencer, stop buying gaming companies, stop buying gaming developers, stop buying gaming franchises, and also look in the mirror and look at who killed the Xbox.
The other guy killed the Xbox.
Maybe instead of Xbox, Microsoft needs to come out with a new console with a different name, and don't admit defeat in a console war.
Especially on a podcast, you mentioned that last year or so.
Yeah, and stop and give some games and give new games time to grow on your console before you ship them out to the rival, unless you're getting something in return.
Oh, yeah.
If they said, okay, we'll send Uncharted or Uncharted 1 and 2 to Xbox for Indiana Jones, then I could see the point, because you would be getting something in return.
And speaking of Indiana Jones, I know this may sound going off topic, partially speaking, but the trailers, the movies, scenes they show in the game, Great Circle and all, it seems all like AI generated and stuff. So it's kind of like it lacks some muster. It lacks the oomph in the game because obviously the acting of Indiana Jones and that Russian dude, it wasn't all that great except for that Choo Choo sequel. That's about it. But other than that, these games are lacking, and if you have lacking games, then you have a console that's not going to be as impactful. I miss the good old days where when you buy a Super Nintendo, a Dreamcast, even just a PS2, especially, you buy that system, you have over 1,000 games to choose from, and most of those games are very good. Oh, out of let's say there's like 1,000 games are released for the PS2, at least 750 to 800 games are good, are very good games. Now with Xbox, and between Xbox and Sony, Xbox and PlayStation, all you're lucky to get like half at best that are somewhat playable. The rest is just like all SJW. That's what happened. They've rolled too much political identity politics into the games, and then this is what you get. And all this quantity with so little quality.